Hey, hello everyone. Good morning and good afternoon or good evening or bonne nuit if you're like in the far reaches of Europe. Welcome to the Center on Religion in the Global East, first webinar in our series, Mapping Religions of the Global East. So this series is going to include 6 webinars, all free and open to the public. Future webinars will feature top researchers throughout the world who are using spatial tools to advance the social scientific study of religion in East Asian societies, East Asian diasporas, and religions organized in East Asia that are spread throughout the world. So this series is generously sponsored by the John Templeton Foundation and Purdue University. So today is the inaugural, the very first of these webinars, and we present the Online Spiritual Atlas of the Global East, or OSAGE, O-S-A-G-E. So this currently houses large data sets of religious sites in China, Korea, and Hong Kong. And the center is currently working on data for Japan and Taiwan. So today, our first speaker is going to be Dr. Fenggang, professor of sociology, and founder and director of the Center on the Religion in the Global East. I am Jonathan Pettit, associate professor of Taoism at the University of Hawaii, and I will speak second. So each of our talks will be about 10 or 15 minutes long. We'll try to introduce the kind of background of how we first started developing OSAGE, right? This online spiritual atlas of the Global East, and kind of some of the projections of what we would like to do in the next year or maybe 2. Please help me welcome our first speaker, Dr. Fenggang.
Okay, first let me share my screen. Now you should see my shared screen, right? Okay, hello everyone. I see Dr. Chang is here as well. Welcome everyone again. Let me try to make this work. Why? Okay, I think this is an online spiritual atlas of the Global East. I will make a general introduction. All right, so for those who are familiar with our center, you may remember we used to be a center on religion and the Chinese society. Under that name, we have published a number of books and have had a number of projects. In 2018, we published the book called Atlas of Religion in China by Braille. And this book has become open access. So it's free. You can access, download the whole book or any chapter of it. It includes many very colorful maps and some excellent photos of religion in China. And so this is 2018. After the 2018 publication, we thought there are better use of the data we have collected and processed. So we began to develop this online spiritual atlas of China, putting the websites on maps, and you can do the interactive maps. It is also in 2018, there are some new developments. That is the association, a new association was established. We called it the East Asian Society for the Scientific Study of Religion. We have some scholars from Japan, from Korea, from Taiwan, from Hong Kong, from Singapore, and other places that they study religions in East Asia came together and established this new association. It's around this time we developed the new concept. We coined a new concept, the Global East. The Global East include East Asian societies, also include East Asian diasporas, those like Chinese Americans or Korean Americans, Japanese Americans, all these diaspora communities in Australia, in Southeast Asia, in Europe. And the Global East also include East Asian cultures around the globe. That those cultures may not be practiced by ethnic East Asians. In other words, those Europeans or European Americans, white Americans, or Africans, African Americans, if they practice East Asian religion, then or culture, they would be included in the notion of the Global East. So the Global East is a broader concept that includes China, but much bigger. That's around 2018. We expanded the scope of the center. And since then, the first out of the first annual conference of East Asian Society for the Scientific Study of Religion, we produced a volume of articles under this title called Religiosity, Secularity, and Pluralism in the Global East. It is important for the concept because East Asian religions and the religiosity of individuals in East Asia or among East Asians have some distinct characteristics that distinct from European Americans or Europeans or Africans. So that's why this new concept, we have really worked on with the new concept and plans carried out some projects. So immediately we had a project in 2019 to 2021 called Measuring Religiosity in the Global East. And the first publication out of that project has just appeared in the Journal for the Scientific Study of Religion. Then since 2022, we have started this new project called Global East Religiosity and the Changing Religious Landscapes. And this new project includes conducting a survey and in East Asian societies, mapping religious sites in the Global East, and also comparative historical studies, because it is important to study religion in multiple dimensions, not only the historical, but also spatial, and not only individuals, but also the other levels. And so this new project is really trying to cover multiple dimensions of religion or religiosity. And we have this website that should be easy to remember. It's simply called globaleast.org. If you visit this website, you'll find a lot of information. The final thing is, I like to see, why do we map religious sites? I'm a sociologist. I have done empirical research on religion using multiple methods, including surveys. I've done quantitative studies of religion, and I have done fieldwork research, participant observation, or what we call ethnography. And we have done some interviews, in-depth interviews, archival research. Overall, I see in the social scientific study of religion, there is a overemphasis on individual religiosity. That is, if you look at the publications in the journals of the Journal for the Scientific Study of Religion, the Sociology of Religion Quarterly Review, or similar journals, many of these rely on analyzing surveys. Surveys are asking individuals about their personal religious identity, beliefs, and practices. These are good. These are important to do. But religion, by definition, is a social phenomenon. Since Emil Durkheim, the founder of sociology, or the first sociologist in history, or sociology of religion professor in history, and he really defined religion as a social phenomenon. It's not an individual phenomenon. We could say, okay, the social may mean communal. Religion is communal, the community of believers. No matter that is in the form of congregations, parishes, or simply village or town, or just a neighborhood communal religion. And it is really important to study religion in this communal dimension. Because otherwise we would have a limited understanding of religion as an individual thing. It's important to study the individual religiosity. It is also important to study the communal aspect of religion. And even further, religion is not isolated from other social institutions. The institutions of the family, the institution of economy, the institution of politics. So there are interactions between the social institution of religion and other social institutions. In order to understand the interactions between religion and other social institutions, we cannot solely rely on individual level studies. So the communal aspect becomes very important. As out of these theoretical considerations, we began to look for data. The religious organizations is then some years ago, we happened to be able to access the census, economic census of China that included religious sects. And we put them on the website. Once you put on the maps, on websites, and there are patterns that otherwise you wouldn't be able to perceive. Now it becomes more obvious on the maps. So that itself really present a different view about religion, as you will see by the presentations by Dr. Pettit and Dr. Chang. And of course, in the process, there are some methodological, technological issues to deal with. And I think this has really opened up the field of research on religion in China, Korea, Japan, and other places of East Asia and East Asian diasporas. So I think I will just stop with this brief introduction. Now we can turn to Dr. Pettit.
Good, fantastic. So again, my name is Jonathan Pettit from the University of Hawaii. I was the associate director of what was formerly the Center of Religion and Chinese Society, now the Global East. And during my time there, one of the what Dr. Yang was speaking about of kind of the 2016 to 2019 of You know, a lot of our projects dealt with the atlas of Chinese religion. And it was really the first large scale data set that we worked to clean and process. And, you know, and the main point is make publicly free and available to everyone, right? So it's a so everyone in attendance can certainly profit from our efforts, right? It's a but you know, kind of I want to take a trip, and I know Dr. Chang will kind of further this trip through the online spiritual atlas of the Global East, religion, the Global East. And it's I think one thing that we want to through this webinar is to help us understand of what kind of data sets we're using when we put that online, right? That is, it's not a I will, more people are coming.
Okay.
Well, yeah, maybe the next slide is so the kind of main data set that we first started working with. So on these are the countries that we have online or are currently working, right? On the top left is China. Please go. Oh, that's okay.
Sorry. Okay, now it's back.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, the next slide will kind of focus on China, which was the first data set that we worked with. So this is an economic census, and you know, I hope that some people in the audience may have access or may know of kind of similar large sets of data, right? There's no set of data that's ever perfect. There's nothing that's going to encapsulate anything of a, you know, a total reality, right? The economic census features over 70,000 religious sites throughout China that was taken in 2004. It doesn't have every religious site in China, but it's very interesting that the sites that it includes are institutions within China that are large enough to be recognized as something where, you know, money's coming in and out, and therefore it was kind of considered as an economic of importance to note within this census of different organizations, right? So the economic census is much larger, and there's been a lot published of you know, like all data sets is not perfect, but it's at least giving us a glimpse into the you know, it's now what, 18 years ago, is it 19 years ago almost, of the kind of spread of religious sites. So kind of what I want to introduce to you is to think about what these data sets look like and how we process them, and maybe how you can use them on the online spiritual atlas. So when you first open it up, you'll see that there are different colors. The different countries have different color coding schemes, but relatively the same, right? Islam, we keep as green, Protestantism is red, Catholicism is purple, Buddhism is orange. You know, as we go through the different countries, we're still working on how to calibrate exactly, you know, say Shinto and Taoism and popular religion and new religions in Korea, right? There are lots of but in general, right, each country that you go to will follow a very similar schema or similar idea of how to categorize religion. So if, you know, when you first go to OSAGE and you click on a country, you're going to come to a map like this, which is going to be more or less everything, right? And it's really the toggle bar at the left that allows you as the user to filter through the data and try to make sense of it and use it for your own work. So well, you see on the left, or the next slides will kind of go in detail, right? So this is like again, just to kind of, you know, oh, that's great. The next one, yeah. So I mean, this is just like what's behind this map, right? All these different sites. We're not going to go through this line by line. Just Fenggang, you can even go to the next like a slide as well. You know, it's really just name and address. So I'm sure some of you have collected similar kind of data for the religious groups that you're looking at. You know, it could be, you know, some Chinese religion in South Africa, or a Korean religion in Italy, or, you know, it's a Japanese religion in Brazil, right? It's a somewhere like I hope all of you have this basic information. On the left is the name of the institution, and on the right is an address. We can keep going. And so this is what the economic census gave to us. So yep, so, you know, for China, and this is not the data here we're looking at is Beijing, if you know Chinese, but the next slide is just an example of next slide is kind of like mapping it to a particular place, right? So each point that you saw on those lines can be placed on the map. If you know Chinese, obviously the previous one wasn't Guizhou, but it's for illustrative purposes, right? You see the national map of China on the right, and a province on the left, and inside the province are prefectures, right? And there are various what we call shape files that allow us to run some kind of analysis of the distribution of sites. And we can even break it, the one on the left is breaking it down. We can break it down even further, certainly for China, to the at times almost to the village level, even to look at the distribution of sites throughout China. So keep going. So this slide is just representing part of our like in building the site, and what Dr. Chang will talk about with Korea and Hong Kong and Japan, right, is to take that basic name and address and start attaching it to other features on a political map, right? It could be a city down to a prefecture, and a province, a prefecture, a city, even down to like a village level analysis. So kind of what our center has been trying to do for all these countries is to really refine where these sites are, right? It could be a Protestant church, it could be a mosque, it could be a Catholic church, it could be a Taoist temple, it could be a Buddhist temple, right? But for each one, trying to break it down to both where it is on the map. The next slide, if we next slide.
Okay.
Sorry, that's okay. Yeah, so I mean, that's like once we break it down, we have at least like a part of it is from the accuracy point of view, or if you want to perform kinds of spatial analysis, is to at least have accuracy of where the site is. So that's like I think one thing that over the past 6 or 7 years that our center has been really effective at for all these countries is accuracy of where it is. And Dr. Chang has come up with like really genius ideas, even in the past year or so, to even refine this down to like 20 meters to 100 meters, right? It's really kind of the technical side of what we've been able to do is really improved 100-fold. So that's one side of it. And the next slide will, in addition to kind of where it is, right? I keep going, just like the next one is fine too. Is how to categorize it, or talk about to label the religion, right? So I mean, it's for some of them it may be easier than others, right? But it's for the sake of China, we were able to at least put all the in some sense for China, it's rather easy, because even the government has an apparatus by which they categorize and label religions, right? So, and for China, it's at least from a political point of view, right? It's the kind of labels that we're putting are more of the labels that are placed by the government themselves, right? So if there's a xiehui, or a kind of association attached for all these different religions, so at least from how it's perceived by the government, or how people in Dr. Young's book, he talks about the 3 different levels that you even need to apply to be a religion, right? It's not just at the local level, but even at the prefecture level, or province level, or national level, right? There are kind of various ways that you need to apply to be a legal religious group. So for China, it's a bit easier in that sense. And in this map, then, if you go into OSAGE, and I hope some of you aren't even listening really too much of what I'm saying, maybe you're already in OSAGE, like I'm sure there's at least 1 or 2 of you who have already like gone to the city of your choice, or this is like somewhere in the global east, you may already be looking like and I'm sure wherever you end up, you'll discover that it's not complete. There's no sense that what we're offering in this atlas is somehow comprehensive. But it's at least like a very reliable, and for all these countries, in the sense of at least recognized, or kind of above ground groups, maybe different shades of legality, but it's at least providing us a general view map, right? So I've gone into Ningbo here just to give you, you see lots of red dots for the Catholic Church, some purple for the Catholic churches, and some yellow for the Buddhist sites. So if you click on any point, right, and that's kind of what I've clicked here, and the next slide will kind of show what you see when you click a point. Yep, there you go. So we're really trying to provide an OSAGE are both a reliable place, right? And there are for all the countries we reference at least 2 or 3 different kinds of mapping systems or points, or it's these are arbitrarily given, so it's a semi reliable placement, but at the same time trying to give a name. So if you're a journalist, or if you're maybe expertise isn't in the religions of East Asia, but for one reason or another you find yourself needing to reference where this place is and how to translate it, right? We've for China, we developed a translation algorithm, I guess you could say, or kind of like a software package that where for the 72,000 sites, we worked for a good year to kind of come up with reliable translations of the into English. Japan, maybe as Dr. Chang will mention here in a second, is a bit more complicated. For China, it's a bit easier because the pronunciations are fairly regular. You can just keep flipping through. I mean, the other, the names in the original language, either Korean or Chinese or Japanese. The Chinese data is for the economic census is great because it gives us the year of founding as well. I don't think my screenshot shared, but the size of the congregation as well. So kind of within 1,000 members, or it's like 10,000 members large. There's these kinds of data. So I think the next few slides, if you use OSAGE and those kind of like side toggles, right, you can do this kind of map. That will break it down to the province, or you can set as province or prefecture, get a general size of density of, say, Buddhist temples or Taoist temples throughout China, and the other, I think the next one is a heat map. So this is like Catholicism. There's an option to get a general sense of this is using population as a mechanism to kind of correlate where high density populations equal high density of the religious sites, right? So the heat map is a kind of a great tool to see where you can do it for any of those religions, right? So for Islam or Buddhism or Catholicism or Protestantism, that these are through the various regions of, and this is the examples I'm giving are just in China, but it's these same kind of tools are present for the other religions as well. So that's kind of, I think, in a sense, what the OSAGE is providing at this time. And Dr. Chang will talk about how we've developed it and kind of where we're going with it a little bit, and we can even add to that. But it's I'm really happy that our third speaker is Dr. Charles Chang from the Duke Kunshan University. He's an assistant professor of environment and urban studies. I can't say enough, he's been such a backbone to so many dimensions of OSAGE. So it's really great that we hear his insights of where it's at and where it's headed. So please, Dr. Chang.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yang and Dr. Pettit. Let me share my screen first. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I should add on to it, add that he's also an visiting assistant professor at the Center on Religion and Global East. And thanks for the inspiration and guidance of Dr. Yang and Dr. Pettit. I've been involved in this wonderful project. And here I want to show you a live demo of how to use this our beautiful Global East side. So when you log on to the Global East side, this is the interface you can see. Actually, if you click into the OSAGE channel, you will be able to see the lovely maps that Dr. Pettit just showed. Okay, so you can actually play with it. But for the time being, let me first switch to the OSAGE Hong Kong to show you what kind of data we've collected and how to use this service. So if you switch to this website, you can see that every religion site is mapped as a dot. So if you're unsure what they are, you can open this legend to see the symbolism that indicate different types of religions. And of course, you can zoom in to a particular area that you are interested in to see the detailed patterns in regard to the religion sites. And you can also click on the dot itself, which will pop up a small window that indicates the address, the name, as well as a simple English translation. Okay, so it is the same. If you click the religion sites, that will take you back to the pattern of the entire religion sites distribution in Hong Kong, right? But you might be interested in, say, the distribution at district level. In that case, you can click on the district to expand all kinds of options that you might have. For example, if you are interested in Buddhism, you can click on it, and it will show a choropleth map that indicates the concentration and the density of a Buddhist map, Buddhist religion sites, right? So how to understand the different color? Again, you can just go to the legend and see what depths of color indicate what kind of range of religion sites. For example, this area, the island district, would have more than 41 religion sites in total in terms of Buddhism, right? But you can also click on Protestantism and see what's the distribution of Protestantism in Hong Kong as well. And you see the pattern is quite different from what you see a moment ago. So this is another way to explore what's the distribution of different religion sites in Hong Kong. You might ask, okay, what if I'm interested in how these religion sites interact with other phenomena? For example, education, for example, minor religions, right? So one thing that we are trying to add here is to provide a thematic map that will show you some kind of indications. So if you expand the thematic map and click on the HK schools, we actually mapped the religions affiliations of different kind of schools, although it doesn't show here at this moment. I think it's a browser problem, but if you're using different browser, you might be able to see different kind of schools affiliated with different religious denominations. And last but not the least, if you go to the data analytics side, we provide a brief but statistical summary of all these religion sites in Hong Kong, right? So if you go to this tab, you can see, oh, you know, in total there are 1,560 Protestant sites in Hong Kong, and 32 Islam mosques, and so on and so forth. So this gives you a brief summary statistics. And on the other side, you can also see a map, but this map is slightly different from previous one in that they provide different types of interaction, right? So for example, if you click on one of the districts, that will show you the breakdown of different types of religions in that district. So in a way, it also gives you a different types of overview for the religion sites. On the third graph, it shows a brief regression between the number of Christian schools and the number of Christian churches. So here, we simply just use the data that I was trying to show with the schools that has different religious affiliation, and try to put these dots with the number of churches, and you can see there is a clear linear relationship between those two. And the fourth graph is a table that has been highlighted with different numbers so that you can see the breakdown of the number of religion sites by district and the religion type. And this table will give you more detailed numbers about how many sites per each religion that exist on that can be found in each district. Okay, so that is on the map, the OSAGE Hong Kong. And now let me move on to OSAGE Korea. So here, this is our first version of OSAGE Korea map. As you might have imagined, Korea traditionally was perceived as very much a Buddhist dominated country, but on the map you can see this is not quite what you might have expected. So if you open the legend again, you can see we are pretty much keeping in consistent with the symbology that Dr. Pettit just showed about mainland China. So the red indicates Protestant side, green is Islam, and so on and so forth. Yeah, if you click on at the dot, you will see the religion's denomination and so on and so forth. We are in the process of trying to translate the Korean name into English name, and we are in the process of collecting all the other types of religion, including new religion and shamanism. So far, we've collected a large number of these sites as well, and in the next version, which we will roll out soon, we will include those sites as well, right? So this is on the spatial distribution of religion sites. I can see someone's joining on it, the screen. However, if you are interested in spatial distribution, you can switch to the province level and click on particular type of religion that we are interested in, which will show you a spatial distribution of patterns at the province level. For example, on the Protestant pattern would be like this, where you can see the dark color indicate that the province would have more than 10,000 Protestant sites, whereas the lighter color would indicate fewer sites. Let me see if I can turn off the annotate function just so that yeah, just so that people are not joining on the graph. Hold on a second. Let me switch and see if I can turn off the function altogether. I think it's okay. Sorry for that. I just wanna less distraction. Okay. So also, if you are interested in a more detailed pattern, you can also go to the third tab on the left side, which shows and city and the county level of the pattern. So, for example, this is a Buddhism we have, and this gives you a finer spatial granularity of the pattern of the sites in each county. And again, you can open the legend and see what the color indicates. The darker color indicates the higher number of Buddhist sites, whereas the lighter color indicates fewer. Okay, so last, I want to move on to the to Japan, where we are still trying to finish our first version of OSAGE Japan map. But so far, we've been we have finished all the data collection, and as you can see here, we actually have all these. Let me see if I can turn off a couple of things. yeah, so we have all these religion sites mapped. Because we want to try to keep it consistent. So red is still Protestantism, orange is Buddhism, and blue here is actually the local religion Shinto sites. So as you can see, if you zoom in, you can see a lot of sites. So one conventional thinking is that Japan is a very secular society. However, in Japan, from what we can see here, it has the most religion sites in these three countries and political entities. So in a way, Japan to some degree it's very religious. Again, if you zoom in and you can see the religion sites very closely. And if you are interested in particular site, you can click on it and see the detailed description about that. Currently, we are trying to use all kinds of tools to translate the names into English. This is ongoing work. Once we're done, we will roll out our first version of the OSAGE Japan. Of course, we're also making the district level choropleth map. So this is ongoing work where we are showing the distribution of Shinto sites. As you can see, on the darker color would be those areas that have higher density of Shinto sites, versus on the other map, we are showing the distribution of the Christian sites, where the pattern is quite different from what you see a moment ago. Okay, so these are the four OSAGE religions maps for countries and entities. We are in the process of updating our OSAGE Korea, like I just mentioned, and we will roll out the OSAGE Japan once we complete the data cleaning and mapping. So please keep updated with our newsletter, as we will make further announcements there. Last but not the least, I want to add that sociologists and historians are storytellers. So there is another function hidden in our OSAGE that is called a story map. So if you go to the story map button here and click on it, we actually have some detailed stories of a few dozens of religion sites in China. Each story would have multimedia materials and the text that describe what's the religion's history, what's the religion ceremony like in particular site. For example, you can see if you click on view the whole story, you will be directed to a site that shows Xi'an City God Temple, and then here you can watch a performance of religion's ceremony, and then accompanied with photos that shows these religion sites, as well as stories. Not every story has been translated into English, but you got this idea. So that is briefly what it is like for this OSAGE that I want to show in a demo. I want to add that we are trying to provide a collaborative platform for religions sites mapping. So if you want to contribute to this project, do let us know, and we will properly credit you in the project beyond just China, Hong Kong, Japan, and Korea, but also include them. So that is pretty much it. Thank you all.